So as promised, we're going to do a case study today. We're recording it because I know there are a few students out for some field trips and stuff. So that's why there's no mic. But so we're going to start out with a 5-minute video, and what I want you to do is just write down some keywords, okay? And then we'll start off by sharing those.
My name is Caleb Churchill, owner and partner at Pete's Bar and Grill here in Albany, Indiana. Pete's has a very, very rich history. The building we're currently in, at one point was a gas station. The gas station kind of became more of a food place, and then it turned into a place called the Green Duck. Phil Peterson, Pete, purchased it, had been 36 years ago, and he ran it for 32. So we're currently starting our 5th year here in Albany as Pete's Bar and Grill. And one of the reasons I wanted to take it over is because he had a nice, rich history of clientele, and he was just ready to retire. So we took over the challenge. I would say right off the bat, Pete had a ton of regulars, and they were, barstool sitting guys that got off work and came in here and drank Budweiser. Coors Light or Miller Lite or Pabst or whatever it was. Pete really catered to them. If you drank vodka and Diet 7-Up, he made sure he had 7 Diet 7-Up here for that one person. And so that was hard for us in a sense of their clientele was so used to, it was their bar. And I was very adamant when I purchased the business that we're not a bar. We're a restaurant that has a bar. We have 6 to 7 seats at the bar to where Pete's had 25. So that kind of ticked a lot of people off, just in the sense of like, you took my bar away, because you've got to travel another 10 minutes in either direction to find another bar. And a lot of them they lived half a mile away from here. So a lot of those guys didn't like it. If you're buying an existing business that has a rich culture, like I did, I spent 3 months in here and nobody knew I was buying the place. And I would just come in randomly and just listen to conversations and listen to the culture that's already there. And how can I add to that culture? You don't want to take the culture away, but at the same time, you can make that culture a little better. And that was one of the most important things for me. Again, not alienating the people of Albany so that we're one of the only restaurants that sit down here in town, literally. You've got to go 20 to 25 minutes in either direction to find a sit-down restaurant. There's 2, or if you count Pizza King, there's 3 in here in town. So again, not alienating our customer, but actually listening to our customer. And I took his sales and I said, okay, these are 5 things that aren't going to leave. Polish mistakes, frog legs, a tenderloin, the ribs. Those are things that's what he did. And he had a great catering company. For the first 3 years of catering company, we didn't change the menu at all because I needed to capture his clientele for us to grow more clientele. Because you don't want to walk in and put your fist down and this is my business and I'm going to do what I want to do with it. No, you got to do what your customers want you to do with it. Our motto here is good friends and good food. If you're coming here, you're coming here for a reason. When you see me walking around on a Friday and Saturday night and I'm looking at plates, I'm not just coming up to a table and how was everything and doing the normal corporate manager thing. It's, one of my favorite things to do here is if I see a kid on an iPad, which is typical when you walk into a restaurant. I bought some like 18th century toys, and one's like the horseshoe with the ring on it. And I'll give away a free dessert for the kid if he can get it off. And the rest of the night, he's off his iPad. And he's interacting with his parents. His parents are interacting with him. Those are things to me that are the reasons I own a restaurant. Yes, it's the food, yes, it's the customers, but it's the interaction, the personalness that I get with my customers, that welcoming stance of, you're not just another customer to me. You're who puts food on my kids' table. So the number one focus with anybody buying a pre-existing, whether it's a restaurant or tech company or whatever, you got to maintain your current clientele for you to grow another clientele. Now, as business evolves, the clientele shifts, things like that happen. But if you try to change that and shift it right off the bat, now you're starting from scratch with all clientele versus here's a base clientele and let's grow onto that. So.
Okay, so just coincidentally, my colleague Candy and I presented this at a conference a couple weeks ago and had really rave reviews on the session. So hopefully you find it interesting. Obviously it's a teaser video, it's only 5 minutes, but there's a lot in there. So what are some key words that come to mind? Just key words right now.
You cater to your customers.
That's a lot of words. But yeah, cater to your customers.
Challenge.
Challenge.
I really want to know what zombie dust is for $6.
What's that?
I really want to know what zombie dust was for $6.
It's a really good craft beer.
Okay.
You said interaction a couple
Interaction.
Come on.
What's that?
He took
Oh, second late, huh?
observe.
Observe. What else?
Culture.
Culture.
I like how it's
Sensory. Yeah, like tactile. Yeah. Anything else?
history.
History.
Interaction.
Interaction. Yeah.
Alienate.
Alienate.
The regulars.
I've been there. I love that.
The regulars, people with families.
Regulars. Good. Anybody else? Back from the back. Clientele. All right. Thank you. Okay. So do the business real quick here. So what are the let me get back on. What are the key issues here? Key issues.
I think, he really touched on how the customers considered it only being a bar and how they didn't like to change.
So the view of the business, yeah, kind of like if you remember from last week when I said, and I had a retail business, but it was viewed as like a frat house or a bar, and that's not what I wanted, but I had to take time to get there, yeah.
Not a lot of people live in the surrounded area, like there's not a lot, the population is low, so they don't attract a lot of customers.
Yeah, so a smaller town, which definitely impacts how you approach things a lot. Yes. What else?
The only other bar is sit down restaurant within close range.
It was the only bar within like 10 miles and the only sit-down restaurant within, 25 minutes or something? Yeah? Good?
Changing the way people think and preserve the way people think, because he said it used to be like a bar, you had 25 seats at the bar,
Yep.
and then it's going to, like, what did he say, 7, and then the rest will sit down, so changing the way people think of the
Yeah.
establishment.
The delicate balance of having cash to start with and appeasing the current customer base and fulfilling their wants and needs, but then growing the business beyond that. Yeah, good. Anybody else? Key issues? There's opportunity in purchasing an existing business, but there's challenges too, right? Okay, anything else?
Couldn't be that bad. He's been successful with it.
Yeah, so he's been doing it, 5 years is what he said, and that was about a year ago, so about 6. So successful, so it worked. So, but there are challenges, everything, you have to put your own stamp on it, right? Your own brand. So, anything else?
So this wasn't included in the video, but I do Albany a bunch. Did they shut down during the construction? Because they were building that for a while.
Shut down during the construction? I don't know. Well, I'll look him up and ask and report back.
Because I mean, that would be a huge loss because they were
Yeah.
really the only restaurant in town.
Yeah. Yep. Any other key issues? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
They didn't even know he was buying it, like, they didn't know who, like, he was while he was showing up, like, 3 months in advance from buying.
Oh, the covert operation, the fact finding, which we will be doing Thursday. Fact finding. Good preview. Anything else? Good catch. Good catches there. Okay. All right. So we're going to skip that one because we kind of hit that already. So with your neighbor, just in a few minutes here, real quick, I want you to diverge on strategies or ideas you have of how Caleb might set himself apart. Okay? Come down to one or two favorites and we'll share some out. So just take 2 or 3 minutes here, okay? Okay, so what ideas do we have? Yeah.
More outdoor seating that's covered.
More covered outdoor seating, okay? What else?
We said just expand the restaurant in general. Like, he could have kept the bar and just made the restaurant portion bigger and really dominated on the fact that they're the only restaurant in town. So, like,
Okay.
just gather as many customers as possible.
Yeah, good. Good idea. That's a good idea so far.
Maybe add like a small stage of some kind to like live music.
Small stage for live music, yeah.
Maybe having like a little play place or playground outside for kids.
Okay, so something that's a kids area, kids friendly, playground, whatever.
Do more advertising because Albany is just a spot on the map. But if you were to put advertising in Portland or Norderton, you know, I think that would bring more business in.
Okay.
Kind of bounce off the keeping the bar and stuff, like he could have definitely done where you have a bar area where kids could not enter, and then like the restaurant like attached but 2 different entryways, so it's like a bar and a restaurant.
Okay. So advertising, quarantine the areas with the bar and the restaurant.
I mean, it's only 23 minutes away from here, so you can market it to have like a college night where beers are a little bit cheaper.
College night or any kind of promotion like that where you're hitting a certain group. Anything else? Other ideas? We're recording this, so we'll definitely be sharing.
They could promote like games and like competitions, like cornhole or something, and the winner gets like free drinks or something.
Okay. Yeah, competitions, free drinks.
They said like game nights, so like trivia night or something along those lines.
Yeah, game night, trivia night. Yeah, when we were at that conference in Tallahassee, we went to a restaurant that had a trivia night, and it was full, totally full, very engaged, buying lots of drinks and stuff. So, and extra food, you know. So.
I'd say like lighten up the atmosphere a little bit. It kind of still has that like dive bar-y look to it. I guess,
Okay.
in a way.
Lighten up the atmosphere. Like maybe keep it going because he did a lot of that actually. But yeah, advance it a little further. Yeah.
He could kind of like separate his like restaurant from the bar, like have the restaurant until a certain time and then the bar open after that on certain nights.
Oh, okay. So almost treat them like 2 separate businesses, kind of with different hours and interesting. Anybody else? What about the back half here?
I say you could paint like a mural on the side so that younger audiences can take ID pictures next to it.
Oh.
Or want to like come here and at least visit. So
Yeah.
it has like outside traffic that causes.
So like kind of a mural on the outside that's where you can do the photo ops, which is pretty common now, and drive different demographic or age group or something. Yeah, good. What about the back? Anything for the back? Y'all are quiet back there. You got one? No? I almost voluntold you there. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Well, the cool thing is that Caleb's here. And so you could tell him your ideas yourself. So, ooh, that was sneaky, wasn't it? So that is why we got a lot of attention at this conference, because we told the story, because we did this last semester too. And it's really nice when you could bring a speaker in, but you could try to give something back too, which is what you all just did. Feedback is a gift. And we kind of tricked you into giving it. But the point is, constructive criticism, constructive feedback is a gift. And I guarantee Caleb would support this statement that when a customer gives feedback, positive or negative, it's a gift. They don't have to tell you that. They don't have to make suggestions. They could just go out and they could do, you know, we talked about the friend of a friend of a friend thing and the negative rings. You know, when someone has a bad experience, they tell 10 or 12 people. When they have a good experience, they might tell 1 or 2. So you want feedback. It's the only way you can advance the business. So I'm going to bring Caleb up, and he's going to tell his story a little bit. And hopefully you didn't feel too deceived, but it was supposed to be in fun. So I will turn it over to Caleb.
Well, thank you guys for having me. How many's ever been over at Pete's Bar and Grill in Albany? 1. Man, you guys need to get off campus. Okay. So I am 40 years old. I just turned 40 this year. I purchased Pete's in January, technically December 31st of 2017. We're just getting ready. We opened our doors on March 28th of 2018. So we're getting ready to start our 6th year. For restaurants, that's a big thing, okay? I've seen statistics of restaurants that within the first 3 years, 75% of them close, okay? So that's a big hurdle for me, okay? What I want to talk to you guys today about is buying an existing business, okay? It's really hard to start up, right? Well, if you buy something that's existing that has a rich culture like I did, you got to take a different path from when you're just starting up, okay? How many have ever heard of Pete's Duck Inn? How many are from Muncie area? Okay, so Pete owned it for about 32 years, okay? He was 66 when I bought it. So how many people work in restaurants? You want to work in the restaurant industry for almost 40 some years? It's a rough life, okay? You work when everybody else is off, okay? And you're off when everybody else is working, okay? My wife doesn't get Valentine's Day with me. My kids don't get I try my hardest to take the birthdays off and be with my kids on their birthdays, okay? Just this Sunday, I missed my nephew's birthday party up in Fort Wayne, okay? It's a tough life, okay? Now, how do you change, you guys, some of the key words, I heard culture a lot, right? Okay, that's a big thing for me, okay? I've worked in so many restaurants, and it's just the corporate, mundane, the manager comes up, how was your food today? All right, thank you. And if they have a complaint, then all right, I'll take that off your bill. Okay, corporate-wise, you can do that because you've got that built into your price system. We can't do that as small as we are. Okay, so I've got to be really personal to a customer, and I've got to know your kids if you're a regular. I got to know your name. I got to know when your birthday is. I got to be a little more personable than maybe, say, an Applebee's manager that gets new customers on a daily basis. Okay, we're not on McGalliard. You're coming to Pete's because you're coming to Pete's, not just rolling down McGalliard, where are we going to eat tonight? Okay, some of the things that I try to do, I bought an existing business that was pretty much a dive bar, okay? It was one of those bars when you walked in the door, you heard the record scratch and everybody at the bar goes like that, okay? So I spent 3 months just walking in there randomly, and nobody ever talked to me. The first time I went in there, I sat down at the bar. The bartender was sitting there drinking with his buddies at the side of the bar, and it took him 15 minutes to get my drink. And then it took him another 10 minutes to come back. Oh, were you wanting something to eat? Would you like a menu? I was not his focus. Who was his focus? His friends drinking Natty Light with him while he's at work. Okay, I bought an existing business that when you put it on paper, it looked okay. Sales were good enough that I knew I could make a profit. But the culture was what I had to slowly try to change. Because the employees, it was their bank. I watched thousands of dollars walk out of that place because they just wouldn't ring it up. It was their friends. They knew if they tipped them $50, they could drink all night for free. It was their grocery store. They'd walk out of there, 10-pound log of ground beef, a dozen eggs, and a loaf of bread, and nobody cared. Okay? So it was their bank, grocery store, and then what else would it be if it's a bar? Liquor store. Okay? They didn't pay for anything. So that's why I had to go in there for those first 3 months, because he was open from 7 a.m. until midnight, 7 days a week. Can you imagine trying to manage and running and owning a restaurant that had that hours? Okay? That's tough. So you can't control all that stuff. Now, me I've been a chef since I was 24, so 16 years. You know, and this is probably my best advice for you guys is wanting to be entrepreneurs. Make your mistakes on somebody else's dime. I made all my, I still make mistakes, I shouldn't say that. But I tried to make my mistakes on somebody else's dime, running their kitchen, running their business, okay? One of my best stories about learning something that was a really, really expensive mistake was an $8,000 silverware mistake, okay? I was at the convention center here in Muncie. I worked there for almost 8 years. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of silverware, okay? Forks, knives, spoons, tablespoons, soup spoons, salad forks, entree forks. And I noticed all of them getting a little lime on the silverware. So I was like, we'll just soak it in lime away. Well, I just ruined $8,000 worth of silverware. And then my boss was like, how can we fix it? And I was like, well, we can try to polish it. And then I paid another guy $2,000 to polish them all. And we still ended up having to replace at least half of them. So there's $14,000 mistake basically. Was I ashamed of it? Absolutely. That could crush my business. Okay, so my best advice for you guys as entrepreneurs, everybody wants to get out here and start a business and go after it. That's great. But whatever field you want to get into, go after it with somebody else paying you. Learn it, and then when you're at the right point, then start your own business. Okay, so what are some other words? We got culture. What are some of the other challenges you guys said I had? You guys are quiet. Alienation. Okay, what is alienation? How am I going to alienate somebody from my customer base at a restaurant? Anybody?
Like you said, you did not feel welcome before you, or when you would just walk in randomly.
Right. So what happens if I get a new owner? I got to make them feel welcome, right? What about pricing structure? Am I downtown Indianapolis? So I got to price it correctly, correct? Okay. So that means I got to have my standards as a chef go towards the standards of what my customer base wants, correct? You know, we said it's $6 zombie dust. Then I hear cheaper beers for college kids. Okay. How many have been to Bongi's? Anybody know what Bongi's is? So Bongi's, I'm going to tell you a little backstory of Bongi's. So he did the same thing I did. Bought an existing restaurant that was a dive place. He was one of the top chefs in Indianapolis. Bought it. I think he's owned it for about 20 years. So one of the top chefs in Indianapolis, fine dining, buys a restaurant that was a bar, just dive bar, turns it into a fine dining restaurant. You walk in there, you're going to spend $60 just like that. Okay, he has 65 seats. He serves 6 to 8 items every night, and that's it. There's no choice on the sides. There's no choice on, you get 6 to 8 choices, okay? But it's one of the best restaurants in Indiana in my eyes, okay? He's got the chef's dream. He's not overloaded with people. He cooks what he wants. He cooks it how he wants. And if you go there on a Saturday night in, say, June, July, you don't get there by 3:30, you're not getting in that night. So his concept, what he built, was you get to come and tailgate in my parking lot. Bring your wine, bring your cheese, bring your cornhole. That's what I'm eventually hoping this turns into. Doesn't happen overnight. We're in that process of changing that culture. My main clientele, you would think, would come from Muncie, Portland, Salina, Ohio, a lot of Ohio people. We get a ton of Muncie people just because they know me from being a chef around town. But that idea of how I had to walk into this restaurant who the same 12 people would be there every single night, drinking the exact same thing, eating the exact same thing. And what if I took a sandwich away and it was like all hell broke loose, okay, when we opened up. And I've had people come in the first couple weeks, I'm never coming back here. And now they're some of my best customers, okay? It's not because I alienated them I got them to buy into the new culture that I built, okay? Everybody that was on staff, I told them when we bought the place and we announced it in October of 2017, everybody has a job. You're gonna have to apply for your job. And it doesn't mean you're a bartender. If you're a bartender, you might have to be a server, but everybody has a job, okay? I have kids. I have a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. That was the biggest culture change that I had to be because it was 21 and over. They didn't like kids in there. They didn't want them in there. So I had to change that culture. One of the ways I did that was I went towards the customers that I knew had kids or knew had grandkids, and I made this, it's a 12-foot chalkboard in the middle of the restaurant. And I tell my servers, if you got a table with kids, go invite the kids to get away from their parents, let them run around the restaurant, I don't care. They're not gonna hurt anything, they're not gonna get hurt. Let them run, watch them for them so they can eat their dinner. How many people have seen mom and dad holding and trying to eat, right? Mom?
I have 3.
Okay, so my culture there is, let's let her eat. Let's babysit the kids a little bit. Okay? One of my favorite things, one of my pet peeves, and this is for your generation, is hard. Okay? It's this. You sit down with your parents and you don't say a damn word to them. You don't conversate with them. All you're doing is or you guys don't Facebook, you're TikTok and Twitter and all that stuff. But you're not paying attention or family time is meal time, right? Sit at the dinner table, okay? Who can do 2 things at once? Who's a good multitasker? Let's go, Mom. Come on up here. Okay, so one of my favorite things is you're on your phone, Mom and Dad are there, and I bring my little 18th century things that you can't break. They steal them, but they don't break, okay? So I go up to kids and I say, hey, you like dessert? You like chocolate? I got chocolate cake, cheesecake. We do a snickerdoodle cookie. Which one you want? Okay, I'll give you 5 chances. All you got to do is since it's Valentine's Day, I did the heart because we have a couple different ones. All you got to do is get it off. Watch me mess it up. And put it back on. Okay? Now this takes an interaction with kids and parents. Because by the end of the day, Dad's trying to do it because the kids can't do it. And he's like, no way. And then I come back because I'll show him twice. Okay? I'll go up to him. I'll say, it's super easy. That's how simple it is. You just put it right back on. Okay? Give me 5 tries and listen to me while I'm talking. Okay? So these are things that I brought into my own business that changed the culture, correct? Because what was my culture? A dive bar. There was not one window in that place when I bought it. I tore the whole restaurant down and rebuilt it. Okay? Now, changing that culture for some of the clientele that realistically weren't spending any money because they were just tipping the bartender and drinking for free, is that going to hurt me? Why? They're not spending any money.
Why would it hurt you if you weren't making a profit off them anyways?
Exactly. So is that the clientele I don't want?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to think about different things too, like that. What is the clientele? What's the clientele I want? What's the clientele I don't want? Okay, we're a turn and burn restaurant. We do live music during the summer, but I try to find people, and I tell my artists, it's fine if mom and dad come, but I need them to eat and get out. Because the first time I did it, I had this local girl. She probably had 25 people there. And they sat there the entire time. They ate, but guess what? I lost 3 turns on that table. Okay? At a 4 top, you're looking roughly about 100, between 65 to 125 bucks, times 3. So I just missed out on, let's say, 400 bucks, right? So the culture I got to change and had to change is we're not go sit on a bar stool place anymore and sit there from 3 o'clock. Did you get it? Come on. You can do it. I'll show you one more time. It's really, really simple. Okay?
Yeah, you twist it. But then how?
And then you just got to put it back on. All right. So, what questions do you guys have for me? Is there anything what are some of the businesses you guys are you think you want to start? I mean, I know this is intro, right? But we're in here for a reason, right? To think about what we want to do with the rest of our life.
I want to start a pizza joint in the village.
Okay, why?
Because Greeks is too expensive, hot box sucks.
Okay. Do you know how many pizza places are in Muncie?
A lot. A ton.
There's over 25 companies in Muncie that do pizza. And there's a lot of them that have multiple applications or multiple places. Okay, think about where you're at. Okay, I come French culinary, that's my background. Foams, escargot, all those bechamel sauces and stuff like that. Got it. Good. Here's $100, the Pete's Bar and Grill. Go ahead and bring your kids in.
Oh my gosh, it's funny.
Okay, so again, that's how I changed my culture, right? My interaction, I'm not an owner that walks in there on Friday night and sits at the bar. Okay, how many people have ever went to a place that, oh, that's the owner, he's sitting at the bar? Those places really aren't that successful. I will do anything that anybody does on my staff. Cleaning toilets. I always tell people, because people ask me, well, are you washing dishes too? I said, yeah. Some days I'm an electrician, some days I'm a plumber, some days I'm a therapist, some days I'm a speaker. That's part of being a business owner. Okay, you don't own a business to put your feet up and relax. That's when you sell the business. Okay, a business for about the first 4 years as a child. You got to grow that child, right? You got to change things. You got to teach your child how you want it to act. Then it's an investment. Okay? At some point, your business is going to reach a peak. Okay? And so every couple of years, you need to sit there and say, what's my asset worth? I own my building. That's my asset. My business then has another price point. Okay, these are all things that you got as a business owner you got to think about and I didn't know that walking into it. I sat down with my lawyer and he says, "Okay, Caleb, what's your out?" And I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" He says, "What's your out?" I said, "What do you mean, what is my out?" He says, "When do you get rid of this business?" I said, "I'm never getting rid of it because my kids are going to take it over." And then he explained to me, it's not your child. Okay, Pete's 10 years prior to me buying it, he probably would have probably got triple what I paid for it. Because his business, the volume was up. Okay, so trying to think of anything I missed.
Maybe is it like a breakfast story about who went in?
Oh, yeah, so you have people that it's like, how many people have thought about buying a house or want to own a house? Okay, get on Zillow, right? You're moving to California. Are you going to buy that house without looking at it? It's a big investment. You're going to California, you're going to spend $1 million easy, right? You're going to spend $1 million on a house you've never walked into. Same thing with my business. The first day, so I met with the old owner. It was at 6 o'clock in the morning. We got there super early so I could do a walkthrough and check out the equipment, check out the state of the building. What do we have to take out? What do we need to do? Then we went and met at my partner's office, okay? I left there at 7:30, went to the restaurant. Nobody knows me. I sat down to eat breakfast. There's 4 guys sitting in there. They're pouring their own coffee. There's nobody that works there. Pete literally opens the door for them and just lets them make their own coffee, and they just sit there and drink coffee. They make their own breakfast, and then Pete comes in and asks them what they had. So I get there at 7:30. They open at 7. I sit down, probably 10 minutes, and the guys are like, oh, the cook and server will be here in a second. They just live right behind the house, or in the house behind the restaurant. So I'm sitting there another 15 minutes. At this point, it's almost 8 o'clock. And they're like, what can we get you something to drink? I'll take a coffee and a water. They pour me a coffee and get me a water. Now 8 o'clock rolls around, the cook's still not there. What can we get you to eat? These are customers. Okay? These are customers sitting there. Now they're Pete's friends, don't get me wrong. And then the meth head cook walks in, and the guy's back there cooking my stuff. And she's like, what did he get? And she doesn't even finish it. The guy finishes it and brings it out to me. And then she gets the tip and everything. So the control of your business too, that's another thing I like to speak on a lot is, if you're not there, my rule is if I'm not there, I'm not making money. Okay? And if I'm not controlling my business, how easy, if I don't count the deposit every night and I just take it to the bank and that's what it is, how easy is it for somebody to, well, I'm going to take $5 tonight. That $5 eventually turns into the entire deposit, and what they're doing is they'll start flipping the deposit from the night before. You don't know you missed one, so they're stealing about every 3 to 4 deposits. Stuff like that. You've got to be in control of your business. But buying an existing business, some people look at it as it's not a good idea because we want that startup. It's my idea. Well, I took my idea and married it with his idea. Okay, you guys heard in my video. I can't walk in there and put my fist down and change that culture like that. Because what's that going to do? What's the customer going to do?
It's going to piss people off.
Exactly. And then do I have any customers? Okay, I have customers already. All I got to do is build more customers so my revenue goes up, right? So that's kind of how I looked at it, is I bought a staple place in this county that if your parents grew up in Delaware County and they're over the age of 60 or hell, over the age of 50, they know Pete's Duck Inn. Because 50% of the people that still walk in, they call it Pete's Duck Inn. That's a culture I didn't change, but guess what? I own Pete's Duck Inn because I bought Pete's Duck Inn. It's just called Pete's Bar and Grill right now. Okay? So changing that culture without, I say alienating, but changing that culture so my customer base just doesn't go, screw this place, this guy's a jerk. Okay? Instead, welcoming them, asking them questions. What do you think about this? When we're working on new menu items, those regulars, hey man, this is a new sandwich we're thinking about doing, give it a try. Or one of my favorite things to do is when fresh ribs comes off the smoker, like some of the other guys that come in, like, here man, here's a rib, it's literally right off the smoker, it's fantastic. Things like that to engage my customer with me so that they don't look at it as, all I do is put my hand out and I want your money. No, I want you to feel at home when you walk into my place. I want you to understand that you're part of my family because you help me feed my family. Okay? I'm a very personable person. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate at what I do. If you don't have passion, you'll never make it as an entrepreneur, period. I don't care. You can be a numbers pusher all you want, but you're going to be sitting at a desk, and you will have zero interaction with your customer base. And eventually you have zero customer base because your prices go up, or the engagement of your customers, Ball State said they can get me in cheaper because they're going to run a deal for me rather than Indiana State. Okay, because Indiana State, you're just a number there. At Ball State, you're a Cardinal and we fly. Okay, I'm a grad. I walked on 2001, played football here. I love this school. I love this community. And guess what? How many people can't wait to get out of Muncie? I can't wait to get out of Muncie. And what I realized with Muncie is, as a college kid, I was giving nothing to Muncie. I was just giving my money to Ball State. But when I got out of school, I married a girl from Cowan, which is just south of Muncie. And then I started investing my time and life into Muncie. And I realized what Muncie was. It's not just Ball State. It's not just McGalliard. It's not just Walmart. These toys come from a Muncie-owned toy store downtown. Okay.
Entrepreneurship grad, by the way.
Yeah? Okay. A little backstory on why I started this, and I didn't know it for my restaurant. I have a nephew who's severely autistic. Everything I bought him for Christmas, he was breaking by the time he got home. Okay. So I bought these because he can't break it. Okay. And then I realized, hey, they're very interacting because I brought them to Christmas and all the adults were playing with them more than the kids were. And so I knew I could get some interaction with people and family because that's what I want. You saw the sign on the wall. It says family. It's got pictures of me, my family, and my partner and his family. And then the other pictures are of the hog farms that my partner owns. So again, thank you guys.
Let's revisit the ideas real quick.
Yes.
So what were some of the ideas? What were some that stood out to you?
Some we already do, like the music stuff. I would love to have like a college night, do like, I know Scotty's and them do like the free tots with the basketball games, and some people do like the $5 burgers and stuff like that. That's something I've already starting to work with. Some things that I've thought about doing too. I didn't hear this, but like doing one of them like eating challenges. You finish 2 racks of ribs, a pound of pulled pork, a pound of brisket, a pound of French fries or something like that. You get your t-shirt and blah, blah, blah. Some of the other ones, I like the mural idea. I really do, because there's a lot of them in Albany already. And I could have the town maybe pay for that. That's the other thing. With owning a business, it's expensive, okay? You're constantly worrying about money. Every morning you get up and look at your bank account. That's what it is.
And last semester, somebody suggested kind of a separation of the...
Yes, and that's something we're actually, there was a photo, we have a separation. It's just not very, I wanted it to be open so the restaurant looks a lot bigger than it actually is. But we're talking about putting, there's a hole in the wall that's like a window, and we're talking about closing that up just to give the bar a little more privacy. And actually, if we close off one of the bars, or the doors to the bar, then I can add another table. Another table equals revenue. Okay, revenue is what it's all about. Okay, but again, thank you guys so much for having me. I hope that you feel my passion. Go ahead.
So when you were doing construction, turning over to what it is now, are you still open? Or is that
We
all-
closed down we started construction on January 1st. That building was tore down by January 3rd. I opened up March 28th. Okay. The building was done in 2 months, but I spent 3 weeks training my staff, doing soft opens, because I knew the first 2 months we were on an hour wait every single night, and 2-hour waits on Fridays and Saturdays. And the good thing about that for me is, you came all the way to Albany, you're going to turn it back around. Now, what it also does too for the town of Albany is then it creates more business for other people. Okay, that's a good thing because I look at competition as the best thing in the world. Number one, what's good for me is good for you, and what's good for you is good for me. Okay, and that's one thing you've got to look at. Don't be the Scrooge of, I mean, there's Glass Capital Cafe, you know, they took one of my lead cooks and he's their chef. Well, I look at their menu and it's like half my menu. Awesome, that's a compliment to me. Still ain't gonna be as good as mine. But that competition is good for me because let's say he's on an hour wait. Well, Pete's Bar and Grill's 5 minutes away. Let's go there. Because we're about the same experience, okay?
I love that you use Bungies as an example because I've also been to your Pete's, not the old one, I wasn't there all the time, but yours is very inviting where Bungies kind of has like its own kind of upper echelon.
Yeah.
I guess. But the food's fantastic,
Yeah.
but very comparable.
He has a really good culture that is like the elite.
Yes.
Because I mean you'll go in there and Peyton Manning's in there. You'll go in there and Reggie Miller would have been in there. You know, you got people can't wait to go eat there. I go about 2-3 times a year.
What do you get? That's the question everybody that eats at Bungies asks. What
Yeah.
do you get?
Perkinsville pork's always great. The steak, he usually does like a New York strip. I'm a steak guy. My wife usually always gets his fish option. But again, he changes it so much, and that's what I like. We change our menu every 4 to 6 months. We actually just went through a menu change, and you know that's part of the thing too with being a restaurant. You go to Applebee's, you get the exact same thing every single time, right? Because the menu never changes, and if it does, it's all you can eat this, which they already have on their menu. It's nothing different. We try to some of the popular things. I'll take them away every now and then because their sales have went down. I'll take them away for 6 months to a year, and then when they come back, my sales go through the roof. Okay. Any other questions?
What are you doing right now towards your goal of having people hang out in the parking lot?
We do some summer things. Like we have a big 4th of July thing where we take our back parking lot, and I have like bounce houses come in. We do a cornhole like tournament. I bring a portable bar and put it out there. You know, we try to interact with the community really hard, and you know, we tell people like, go ahead and grab a beer. Go like in the summer, go hang out outside. You know, we've had people do it. It's just not on a regular basis like you see at the Bonkies every single weekend. Anything else from everybody?
Okay, it's not really a question. It's kind of, I was just thinking more on the mural side. Like, there's obviously Ball State isn't too far and stuff like that, where there's college students who like the artistic side, and college students always like food. You know what I mean? So, like in payment. Plus, as college students who are like already trying to build their portfolio, it will benefit like the college students to have that like big mural as like, this is something I've done on a business, but it will also help with your marketing side. Also, like with Instagram, they can take photos once they're done and post it like to publicize. So
that's a good idea.
For a competition.
Yeah. And I've officially got on TikTok like 3 weeks ago. So
geez.
but it's my business side. So the girls, the younger, I have 3 Ball State kids that work for me, and they're trying to teach me how to do it and be interactive. So yeah, follow us if you're on Facebook. That's our big marketing scheme. We're getting into TikTok and we're posting on TikTok. Twitter, not so much. I never really got a following on it, but follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Every single day we post, except for Mondays, we post the special of the day. I usually try to do it about 3:30 because that's the algorithm of Facebook that when I'm going to get the most views of my age group, because at 3 o'clock everybody's done working, and what do? They get on, my age group gets on Facebook.
Do you have a lot of diversity that you see a lot in your restaurant?
We do, not as much as I would like. Our chef is African American. We do get a lot of Albany people with diversity. I really pride myself a lot on, I have 3 adults with special needs. One actually just left us, and he's going to the hotel college to be trained in hospitality. That's one thing that I was a kid with a learning disability, and I feel like I was held back in a sense because I was never supposed to go to college. I was supposed to go work at Zimmer or Biomet and work in a factory, but I didn't accept that. So we have Sean Buck, who is a 54-year-old male with a disability, and he's actually worked in that restaurant for over 30 years. So that's something I'm passionate about. Be passionate about what you want in your business and go after things like diversity and try to make everything what it should be in this world and not what, like I've kicked people out of my restaurant because I've heard them drop the N-bomb or something like that. Okay, I don't put up with it. It's not something I want in my restaurant, and guess what? I don't really want your money anyway, and don't come back. I had kicked one lady out because she just kept coming back in for free steaks. It's like every time, everything's bad, everything's terrible. It's like, why do you keep coming back here? But see, that's why I like to own my own business, because I can do that, okay? I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but I get what you're trying to do. And I have the right to say no. So, anything else?
Over here.
How did you find education about your target market? Understanding like when they're going to be active on Facebook at this time.
I did some Facebook PowerPoints, and then they have like Facebook training and TikTok training and stuff like that online. I knew my demographic, which was a key thing before I even bought the business. And you can just go to the economic development downtown and say, hey, I want to start a restaurant. Here's the community I want to get, and they'll print out the demographics of, like Albany, surprisingly, was very, very low from anybody under 40 years old. Like it was only like 26% of the population. Now it's grown up to I think 35. I checked it a year ago. But that's something that you got to understand too. Like if I'm going to start a restaurant in a town of less than 2,000 people, and I expect to make $1 million a year, where are they going to come from? So, how do I market to my demographic? Okay. Yeah, I market to Muncie, but majority of my marketing money goes straight to Portland and Sign, Ohio, because there's nothing up there. Muncie has everything. You want a steak in Muncie, there's 15, 16 different places to go get a steak. You want a steak up there, there's nothing. There's nothing in Albany. Okay, they got pizza, McDonald's. There is a Milton's, which is like a mom and pop diner, but it's like fried chicken and mashed potatoes and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Have you heard of 450 North?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of them or not. It's a little similar to what you are, but they're more on the pizza side and mostly on the beer side of things.
Yeah. So, and shooting your demographic for us, it's the farm boy. It's people that enjoy the foodie side of things. But we also, in Albany, I want you to come get a really, really good cheeseburger if you were looking for a really good cheeseburger. Fried tenderloin. We do a ton of barbecue, a lot of ribs, smoked chops and stuff like that. So I know we're running out of time. Anything else from anybody? Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something.
All right, so that's all we have, but thanks for being good sports. I know we kind of tricked you a little bit. So hopefully that was fun for you. So we'll see you Thursday. And by the way, we're doing next steps on your project Thursday.